If you're tired of making melodies like this, and you want to start making melodies like this, well, I've got the perfect method for you to achieve this. So let's go ahead and hop into it. What's up, guys? I got a special method for you guys. So this is gonna be one of my favorites because it's gonna be really simple and anyone of any skill can use it. So let's hop right into it and I'll just kind of explain what it is. So this is, I like to call the cake layered method. So if you guys know, obviously cakes, they use layers. So you have your foundation, you have your icing. So I'm gonna explain how this works because if you really pay attention to how like the piano roll works, it'll make way more sense. So let's take our little note and we'll use C for an example. So we have C. So if you go up an octave, you'll see it says C4. So what does that mean? Well, just like a cake, or most of the time, it's just the layers are just going to repeat, right? You're going to have your foundation, you're going to have your, your cake in between, right? And I'll explain what this is in a second. Should be pretty obvious if I say this is simple, right? And then your icing is the top melody in between, okay? And it just repeats over and over again, right? Because essentially, if you go to C4 to C5, it's the same notes. It's just a higher octave. Now, technically, they're not the exact same notes, right? But they're the same family notes. So C5, C4, and C3, right? They're the same tonal family technically, right? So with that, you could just literally use, and this is why a lot of my videos, I use like a lot of the same tricks because they never fail. Because you could use the same notes up here. You could pull one down. You can have very interesting melodies this way, okay? So this is like super simple. I am going to show you practically how to do this. So the cake part, this is going to be your, you could say just basically your chords. Your chords will fit here. And then somewhere on top after your chords are built, you will have your top melody, which would be the icing. All right. And then the foundation, which we could use a different color for this, but I think it's just simpler to have them all white, would be your baseline, right? It's the foundation of the cake, obviously. But I think just oversimplify. It doesn't need to be, it's, it doesn't need to be super complicated. And essentially, as you can see here, you'll have a cake and your cake can be as large as you want it to be. So when you start looking at melodies like this, it's going to be a lot easier because really you're only making a melody in here and then you will copy it up. Not literally copy it up, but you will use the same exact process to make a melody up top. Okay. And there's a lot of other things we could talk about. I'm going to just copy this up real quick. And I'm gonna show you a quick little, this is not gonna be necessarily an example, but I'm gonna show you like what it would look like. So here you have your bass line, just gonna pull something up. And then here, your chords, just do like something like this. Boom. And then your icing, right? So that top melody based off of this could be so many things. It could be support notes. Support notes would just be little notes that go into like, that can go into or out of something. So it can go into this chord. So let's just say you pull that up. It could be something like that, or it could literally just be kind of like a little top melody, simple top melody, something like this. Okay. And I'm just oversimplifying it for you. Boom. And then you would repeat. But here's the cool thing about it is you see how the structure works. So this will be our icing. Well, you don't have two foundations. So the cool thing is once you make the top melody, you could build off of that again, right? And I'm gonna just copy this up so it's just easy, right? And then you keep going. And obviously you would give these different rhythms and stuff like that. And it'll be a lot more complicated than that, of course. And then on top, you have your top melody. Okay, you can keep going as much as you want or until it sounds bad and you need to strip it away. But essentially, this is what you would do, okay? So this is how we can structure our melody. And I think it's gonna make making melodies 10 times easier. So let's go ahead and actually make a practical melody with this. Now I'm going to show you how to practically use this for your melody. So you will break rules here and there, but the structure will still stand. So we'll do this in 3 parts. We'll do the first foundation, we'll do the middle, and then the top foundation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. This will be as complicated or simple as you would like it. So I'm gonna use my favorite key, the F sharp minor, good, right here. Okay, so we're gonna use this, and I think it's better not to use a scale. Personally, I'm gonna change this to half beat because you could just let your ear guide you, and I feel like you'll usually come out with a better melody. So I'm not gonna use a scale, and we can go with a regalia style. So if you're using a minor, you can go down, you can copy this over, right? This is the 5th bar going on to the 6th, and then you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should give you like a regalia bass line typically, or you could flip it if you wanted to, but I'm gonna use it as my bass line. And then let's take green. And then from here, we'll take this F. And I'm gonna just show you some tricks. So the F sharp, go up 7. This is the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Place it. Okay. Now, if you're a person right now, you're like, okay, what do I do next? Well, all you need to do is just make a chord from this note right here. That's all you got to do. So if you're like, okay, I don't know what chords to use, well, I'm going to give you the cheat codes right now. And it's only 4 of them that you would use on average. There's other ones, like if you look up here to stamp right here, There's other chords you can use. Like there's a lot of chords. Well, you probably can't see all of them, but there's a bunch of chords you can use. But the base of them will be, you'll have your, we can start with the minor, major, suspended. So suspended, we'll just start from here. So minor, then the major, then it's suspended second, and it's suspended fourth. You see, they all pretty much sound good no matter what I played here, right? So you could just, whichever one you like, just put it here. We'll just choose the minor here, okay? And we'll just get rid of these. So from here, we're just going to, actually, let's offset it like this. And then from here, you'll have to use your ear. You're gonna need another note to use, so we can, let me see. Now, if you want another note to use, I'll give you another cheat code. So remember what we just did here, right? We just literally did here with the chords. You could do that down here. So you can make a chord down here as well. So this is the F sharp minor. You could pull this up. Let's turn it green. You can use this. Oops. And let's make these a little bit longer. Okay. So here we go. And then we're just gonna copy it over. Oops. Okay, so you get the gist of it. So that is like the in between, like the cake area, right? We haven't even started on the icing yet. So for this one, okay, you could do the same process here. Is we could take this note, because let's say, okay, you don't really know what to do here. Let's just say you don't. Well, you could take that note since it's very low and pull it up, turn it green, and then start making a chord from here. Now you already kind of have everything here, because if you make a chord out of this, it's just a D major. So you could pull this up, okay, and then from here you can just keep going if you want it. So you go up a few, as you can see, and then you just do the same process. You just pull it back like so, and this never fails, by the way. You could do this every time. With obviously you'll need to adjust like I'm doing. So this is pretty much, should sound pretty nice. All right, so now what we're gonna do is go ahead and add that icing on top, and then we'll make another layer. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the icing. So pretty much the icing can just be like simple notes up top, or just any melody you want, or they can consist of support notes. So an example of a support note would be something like, if you had, let's actually zoom in a little bit, okay? So if you had just a chord, support note would kind of go into that chord like so, or out of it. So this will be an example. So like these blue notes are examples. So they go out of a chord or into a chord. Not all the time is it going to do that, but it's just like an unofficial kind of thing that I do. All right. And by the way, a lot of these terms I'm using are obviously not official, like music theory terms or anything. So I'll do the first half, and then I'll do the other half just off screen to save time. But just to get the point across, let's use like yellow. So what we're gonna do to save time, because remember what I said, it's layered. So all you have to do is pull it up an octave, change the color, and then just pick some notes you like. I really like this note. All right, I like that. It's cool. Nope, I don't like that. Let's move it. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then I think we can kind of just since I mentioned support notes, I would have just kept it that way, but let's just, and as far as the velocity, because this is a piano, the velocity does matter. I'll probably, after we're finished with the melody, I'll tweak it to make it sound a lot better. But other than that, we'll just keep it going. So and then let's just copy it over, listen to it. And then I do want to make a little adjustment, and then any adjustment I make, I'll just change it here. Let's do a flam maybe. And this is where velocity comes into play, because it's going to sound weird with everything the same exact. But I'm just offsetting it a little bit just to give it a little bit more life. And then I think we can actually build a chord here. Yep, okay. All right, so I'll just play this part and I'll do the other half off camera. All right, so that is that, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the second part, and then we'll come back and I'll show you that and we'll move on. All right, so here is the second part of the melody here. So I guess we could just zoom in. So you can see pretty much the same pattern, but I want this to blend a lot better. So I just kind of let it go back up here and then just trickle down back to that E. So it's the same kind of melody kind of going on. And then I just kind of played around with the chords a little bit more. So yeah, I'll just play it. I guess we could play it from the top, huh? Okay, so that is the melody. So now we're gonna go ahead and do our second layer. So let's hop right into it. Now we're gonna go ahead and start on layer 2. So in layer 1, we pretty much did the foundation, the layer, and then the icing, whatever. So there's 3 steps pretty much. So now, since we have the foundation, now we just rinse and repeat. So you just do this, and the thing about this is you could do both the top melody and the like the cake or the the layer together. Because we kind of already have the formula, and usually at this point you're gonna start hearing notes in your head that you want to place down. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that and what notes you like, don't like. So we're gonna pull this up, and then I'm gonna just offset this, and then we can just change it up a bit. And that should be fine enough. I'll change the velocity and stuff later. But for right now, I just want to focus on like the notes, because since with pianos, you really want to like make sure you mess with the velocity to make it sound nice. But for right now, I think this is good. So this is our note. Okay, and that doesn't even sound bad alone. So over here, let's maybe something like this. So I'm hearing something in my head right now, so something like that. Yeah, so that could be a kind of a top melody. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and actually do that, because this is just the first half. So I'll do this half off so that we can just move on. But let's do our top melody now, or ICING as we could say. So let's pull this up an octave, right? So it's the same thing. So C sharp is the start. Just move it up. And you don't have to use this exact method. Like if you want to use E, you could. I'm just showing you the method that works every time. All right. And then let's use white. And then from here, just offset it maybe a little bit. And we just use these. And yeah, I mean, honestly, we could just copy this, to be honest, save a little bit of time. And maybe we could just shorten this up just for a little variation. So let's see what that sounds like, and I'll go ahead and do the second part. Okay. I wonder what a flam right here. I know it's off key, but I'll probably need to edit the velocity to get this to. I mean, it doesn't sound bad. I just need to mess with velocity. Okay, I like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the second part, and then we'll come back. Okay, so here is the full melody. I went ahead and actually did the velocity as well. You'll probably hear this in the beginning of the video when I make like the intro. You probably hear this like full thing. But as you can see here, the melody is pretty much the same. I just kind of add some little flams in there. So I'll play this one alone first. And I actually extracted the velocities to show you what I did. So yeah. right? You can see how the velocity makes it sound a lot better than before. I should have saved the before and after, but all right, so the velocity is important. So anytime that I do the velocity off screen, I will show you them. So I prepared the velocity layers for you. So first you can see the velocity, and I'll make this a bit larger so you can see how I actually did this. So you can see the baseline, right? It's pretty just straightforward, right? Regular. And then we move on to our, I guess like the first little layer here in between. So you can see those. So I'm kind of, so from bottom up, I'll change the velocity. So the lowest one will be the lowest velocity. The highest one will be the highest, usually. Okay. So, and this is sped up just so everything can fit in frame, by the way. So that's why it sounds like that. And then this one, I didn't do a lot because I feel like it was fine the way it was. As you can see, it's not a lot, just kind of some of these notes I pulled up. So, all right. And then the same thing for this one. All right. Just minor changes with the flams and stuff like that. This is the blue part. And even still, I would probably even turn these down like that just to make it a little bit better. Because typically with velocity, I like to go with the flow. So if it's lower velocity, as you can see this one's lower, and then the higher you go, I will pull it up a little bit and then drop it down typically. But and then the last icing layer of the top melody, pretty simple. Like I said, really it was just like the chords that we needed to change. So yeah, just the velocity, and then of course just like note lengths and stuff like that change. So all right, and then all of that is pretty much this right here all together. I wonder if I could auto do it. All right, so that is the velocity extractor. I'll play it one more time. So here we go. But that is the cake layer method. So hopefully that's something that can help you out and help you make better melodies. But that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.